Welcome to the chosen bloom. They have called you strange. They have whispered behind your back. Some have even dared to label you insane. Yet what they fail to perceive is this: your words are not hollow and your voice is not ordinary. What flows from your lips carries the imprint of heaven, encrypted codes that flesh cannot decode. While people dismiss your language as confusion, the angels lean closer, attentive to every sound, because they recognize what men cannot. Every phrase you release is an activation. Every syllable is a key, unlocking realms hidden from the human eye. This is not madness, it is divine communication, a sacred channel between your spirit and the throne of God. That is why, when you speak, the atmosphere shifts. That is why heaven moves and darkness trembles at the same breath. Even when your own mind cannot fully grasp it, your spirit knows. What you utter are decrees that cannot be silenced, words carrying weight in realms unseen. And today, chosen one, the veil lifts. You will see the truth of your misunderstood voice. You will know why the world cannot contain it, and why the unseen realm cannot resist it. For your voice is feared in hell, yet honored in heaven. This message reaches you because you are not here by chance. Your spirit has already sensed it. Something is stirring, something is unlocking, something is shifting that will not be reversed. You have been drawn into this moment because heaven is aligning you with what your soul already knows. Change is here. If you are ready to embrace the mystery of your divine language, act in faith. Like this message, subscribe if you have not, and declare 99 in the comments. Do it as a prophetic sign, for 99 represents completion and the reminder that even when the multitude turns away, heaven still leaves the 99 to pursue the one. You are that one, and your voice is the sound that will shake foundations. For when you open your mouth, chosen one, you are not merely arranging sounds in the air, nor offering ordinary thoughts or opinions. What flows from you is far beyond human comprehension. Your words are sacred codes, encrypted decrees whispered from eternity into your spirit. Every time you release them, the unseen realm responds. Each phrase is a key, forged in fire, opening doors no man can shut and sealing doors no enemy can break. Mortals may dismiss them as scattered sounds, disjointed fragments, even madness. But the angels hear precision, heaven hears order, and darkness hears a command it cannot resist. They hear instructions. They hear commands. They hear signals. To the natural ear, it may sound incoherent, but to the hosts of heaven, your voice resounds like a trumpet blast, an unmistakable call to move, to act, to fight, to defend. This is why you often feel misunderstood. It is not because you lack clarity or wisdom, but because you were never meant to be decoded by earthly minds. You speak in a frequency only eternity can capture. Picture this: within you is a transmitter, wired directly to the throne of God. Every syllable you release travels as light, as fire, as energy, breaking into dimensions unseen by human eyes. While the world dismisses your words as rambling, unseen armies are aligning, waiting for the next signal. Have you noticed? You've spoken things you did not fully grasp in the moment, only to later learn they carried weight. Someone may return and say what you said changed everything, though you yourself had forgotten. That is the mark of a chosen vessel. Those words did not rise from your mind. They were downloaded from heaven into your spirit. You are the carrier, the conduit, the channel. And this is why your voice feels heavier than it should, because it is. It does not belong to you. It belongs to the one who placed the codes inside of you. Here lies the mystery. These codes do not only mobilize angels, they destabilize the enemy. Each release shakes the unseen. Darkness cannot decode your language, yet it trembles at the vibration. It feels the disruption. It panics because it knows something has been activated against it. This is why resistance rises when you speak. This is why hearts sometimes recoil when you bare your soul. It is not them. It is what moves through you. It is not people rejecting you, chosen one. It is the spirit within them, reacting to the codes you carry. Your voice was never meant for casual noise, never designed for empty talk. It is an instrument of heaven, a sacred transmitter. And each time you doubt its weight, you silence armies waiting for their command. Each time you believe your words are small, you forget you were chosen to release what no one else can. This is why your speech must be guarded. Even your whispers can shake atmospheres. Do not dismiss them. Though men may overlook your words, heaven records them. While some scroll past and laugh, angels bow their heads, waiting to act. Every phrase spoken in faith, every statement aligned with truth becomes a decree in the courts of eternity. Not one word is wasted. Each is alive, charged, encoded. Others may see only sentences, but heaven sees blueprints, battle plans, strategies for victory. So when the urge rises to speak, do not suppress it. Do not water it down out of fear of seeming strange. You were never sent to be understood by man, you were sent to mobilize heaven. And when you embrace that truth, when you release without fear, you will see doors open where none existed. Opposition crumble without warning. Impossibilities bow at the sound of your voice. Chosen one, the world may call it noise, but heaven calls it strategy. That is your power. That is your secret. And that is why you cannot remain silent, because every word you release is a code, and those codes are already rewriting the unseen. And now, let me leave you with this. If your words are keys, what doors are about to swing open? If your voice is a transmitter, what signal is heaven preparing to release through you in this very season? The answer is nearer than you imagine. And the moment you dare to believe it, everything around you will begin to shift. Chosen one, have you noticed how resistance rises the instant you decide to speak? The moment your lips release what burns within your spirit, confusion appears, people turn against you, and circumstances seem to lock every path. This is no coincidence. It is strategy. The enemy does not fear your talent, your beauty, or your possessions. He trembles at your voice. Because each time you speak, something in the unseen realm fractures. Your words are not random. They are encrypted arrows, dipped in divine fire, piercing territories where darkness thought itself secure. Satan hears your sound, yet he cannot decode its meaning. To him, your language is a sealed mystery signals he cannot intercept, decrees that dismantle his schemes without warning. This is why he labors to silence you. His weapons are often subtle. He comes not only with attack, but with ridicule. Have you noticed how quickly people mock what they cannot grasp? They laugh. They roll their eyes. They dismiss you as dramatic, delusional, extreme. But that mockery is not random. It is the enemy's attempt to convince you to close your mouth. For he knows this, as long as you keep speaking, his kingdom collapses piece by piece. Every decree you release quickens his defeat. And so he wages war, not against your gift, but against your confidence, trying to manipulate you into silence through self-doubt. He wants you to believe you are speaking nonsense, so that you will silence yourself and stop sending codes into the atmosphere. But deception is not his only weapon. The enemy also wields isolation. At times you feel abandoned, misunderstood, left to walk alone. That loneliness whispers, "Why speak if no one listens?" Yet the truth is this: the enemy fears what will happen if you keep going. So he surrounds you with silence, hoping you will mistake the absence of applause for the absence of impact. But heaven has never stopped recording your words. Angels have never ceased moving at your decrees. And hell has never stopped trembling each time your voice pierces the air. Consider this: if your words held no power, why would the enemy waste his energy opposing them? He would not bother with distractions, ridicule, or attacks. The very intensity of the resistance you face is proof that your voice carries explosive weight in the spirit. That is why sometimes after you speak, warfare intensifies. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did something right. Your decree disturbed his territory, uncovered hidden plots, and forced him into retreat. He lashes out, not from power, but from desperation. Chosen one, understand this. Your voice is not fragile. It is a weapon. It does not flutter like a weak sound. It strikes like a blade that cuts through deception. It does not fade like a whisper. It blasts like a trumpet that scatters demons. This is why Satan's greatest ambition is to silence you. He knows he cannot decode your language, so he hopes instead to break your confidence. He tries to bury courage in isolation, drown conviction in mockery, and cloud vision with doubt. For if he succeeds, he does not need to stop the angels, he only needs to stop you. But here is the revelation. The moment you choose to believe again in the fire of your own voice, every strategy of the enemy collapses. Every time you speak with conviction, you release more than codes, you release shields of light that surround you. Your words not only summon angels, they erect barriers the enemy cannot penetrate. You are guarded by the very decrees you proclaim. That is why you survive attacks you never even saw coming, because your words became armor before the arrows ever reached you. But the enemy knows something more. He knows your voice carries prophecy. He knows that when you declare, you are not merely speaking into the moment, you are shaping futures, rewriting destinies, altering the course of generations. And that terrifies him, because he cannot control what is birthed from your mouth. Each time you open your lips in alignment with heaven, you seize territory he thought was his. This is why he rushes with such urgency to silence you. The more you speak, the faster his kingdom collapses. So remember this, chosen one, the pressure you feel when you speak is proof of your power. The ridicule you endure is evidence of your effectiveness. The loneliness you carry is confirmation that you are walking a path few can endure. Do not let the enemy trick you into silence. For the very violence of hell's reaction to your voice is proof that heaven has trusted you with something dangerous to darkness. And now comes the question, if the enemy fears your voice this much, what might happen if you refuse to be silenced? What earthquakes might erupt in the unseen realm if you decide once and for all to never hold back again? The answer, chosen one, is more terrifying to hell than you could ever imagine. And that is why you must keep speaking. Chosen one, it may feel lonely to carry a voice that no one seems to understand. But hear this, the path you are walking has been walked before. You are not the first to be called strange. You are not the first to be labeled insane. Every prophet who bore heaven's message met suspicion, rejection, and ridicule. Jeremiah spoke words so heavy that his generation mocked him, beat him, and threw him into a pit, convinced he had lost his mind. Ezekiel was commanded to act out visions that looked absurd, lying on one side for days, eating strange food, speaking riddles no one could comprehend. Daniel carried dreams so mysterious that even kings trembled, and his interpretations stirred both fear and fury. To the natural world, they appeared eccentric, detached from reason. But to heaven, they were generals, voices releasing decrees that bent the course of history. Do you see the pattern? The greater the message, the greater the misunderstanding. Divine language has never been embraced by those bound only to the natural. The prophets carried codes that seemed like madness, until the moment came when their words unfolded into undeniable truth. And that is exactly the place you now stand. When people dismiss you, when they laugh at your words or withdraw from your presence, it is not proof you are wrong. It is proof you are ahead. You occupy the gap between two worlds, speaking a language mortals cannot yet process until time itself catches up to what you have already declared. Understand this, your assignment was never meant for applause. Heaven did not choose you to be popular. Heaven chose you to be precise. And precision is rarely honored by those who lack the instruments to measure it. The prophets were never celebrated in their time. They were resisted, accused, and isolated, yet every decree they released reverberated into eternity. Jeremiah's warnings preserved a remnant. Ezekiel's visions unveiled hidden mysteries of God's glory. Daniel's prophecies still resound into the final days. And you, chosen one, you are cut from the same fabric. Your strange words are not random. They are blueprints that will make sense when the appointed hour arrives. And here's the deeper truth. The very fact that you feel misunderstood is confirmation of your calling. If your voice sounded like the crowd, you would not be carrying what the prophets carried. If your words blended into the noise of men, they would not hold the code strong enough to summon angels. It is the peculiarity of your voice, the strangeness of your message, that proves its source. Heaven does not speak in the language of trends, it speaks in the language of eternity. And eternity will always sound foreign to a world addicted to the temporary. Chosen one, there will be moments when you wonder if you should soften your words to be accepted. Times when you question whether your message is too heavy, too different, too unsettling. But remember the prophets, they never diluted. They never bent their tone to make it palatable. They spoke what heaven placed in their mouths, even when it cost them reputation, comfort, and freedom. And in the end, history did not remember the critics. It remembered the decrees. Here is the warning. When you carry a prophetic voice, you will attract warfare, but you will also attract destiny. Some will despise you, yet others, those whose spirits are awakened, will recognize you. They may be few, but they are the ones marked to walk with you. The prophets were never sent to persuade the masses. They were sent to ignite the chosen, and so are you. Your words may never be embraced by the crowd, yet they are treasures to those whose spirits are tuned to heaven's frequency.
So do not despise rejection.
Do not fear ridicule. When they call you crazy, smile, for they called Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and even Jesus the same. And if you share in their rejection, you also share in their authority. It means your words are already shaping the unseen, preparing what will soon manifest. But let me leave you with this mystery. What if the very words you speak today, the same phrases mocked and dismissed, are the words future generations will honor as prophecy fulfilled? What if the message they scorn now becomes the very truth that saves them later? That is the weight of your calling. And chosen one, that is why you must keep speaking. For history has always belonged to those who dared to sound insane in their own time. Yet here lies a truth few uncover. It is not enough merely to speak, you must also live in alignment with what you declare. Words, even when they are sacred codes from heaven, lose their edge when mixed with doubt, fear, or contradiction. Imagine holding a blade forged in fire. If you allow it to rust, it will never cut as deeply as it was designed to. In the same way, if your lips release decrees while your life walks in opposition to them, their strength weakens. Heaven is not moved by performance. Heaven responds to alignment. Angels do not move at empty noise. They respond to the frequency of a life tethered to truth, purity, and divine order. This is why the pressure you feel is not only in your words, but also in your walk. Because your voice is not merely a sound, it is the echo of who you are in the secret place. If your inner world is clouded by fear, bitterness, or hypocrisy, the codes grow muffled. But when your heart aligns with truth, when your spirit is anchored in integrity, when your daily steps reflect the will of God, your voice becomes unbreakable. Every decree thunders. Every whisper burns like fire. Angels recognize not only the words you speak, but the integrity that breathes beneath them. They know when language is born of the Spirit and when it is stained by the flesh. Chosen one, hear this: alignment is not perfection. It is not the absence of mistakes. Alignment is coherence, refusing to live divided, refusing to declare one message with your lips while walking another with your life. The strength of your voice flows from the authenticity of your path. This is why spiritual discipline is not a burden, but a shield. Prayer sharpens your frequency. Fasting clears the static. Integrity seals your codes so the enemy cannot twist them. Every act of obedience is oil poured upon your voice, causing it to resonate louder in the unseen. And here is the truth many overlook: angels are watchers of consistency. They are not swayed by tears alone, nor by emotion without substance. They respond to faith embodied. They respond to a voice aligned with heaven's rhythm. When your daily life flows with the current of God's will, then every time you speak, heaven confirms. This is the place where authority rests. Here, your words cut through resistance like lightning. Here, doors swing wide before you. Here, the enemy has no argument against your decrees because your very life testifies of the truth you release. But consider the danger. When your codes are contaminated, their strength weakens. If doubt fills your heart, if resentment leaks into your speech, if compromise clouds your vision, the sharpness of your voice dulls. The enemy cannot decode your language, but he will attempt to corrupt it. He plants fear, self-pity, and bitterness, hoping your words will carry a divided frequency. And a divided frequency cannot pierce with power. Yet when you choose faith over fear, worship over complaint, obedience over compromise, your codes strike with unstoppable clarity. Every word becomes a weapon the enemy cannot withstand. Do you see it, chosen one? Alignment is not about rules. It is about power. The more you align with the divine, the clearer your voice becomes in the spirit. The more you align, the more unshakable your decrees are. That is why some prayers echo without impact, while others split the heavens wide open. The difference is alignment. One whisper from a life fully aligned carries more force than 1,000 speeches born of empty noise. And so this is both your challenge and your invitation. Protect your alignment at all costs. For alignment is the oil that keeps your voice burning, the shield that keeps your decrees sharp, and the key that ensures every word you speak reverberates with heaven's authority. Guard your purity. Guard your integrity. Guard your connection. Do not let distractions, temptations, or the applause of men distort your frequency. For the strength of your words rests on the clarity of your walk. Every time you live in alignment, you add weight to your codes. You carve your voice deeper into the corridors of heaven, and you strike fear deeper into the camp of darkness. And now I leave this question burning in your spirit. If your words already carry such power as they are, imagine the force they will unleash when your life is fully aligned, when every step, every breath, every choice echoes the truth you declare. What earthquakes will erupt in the unseen when your very existence becomes one seamless code? The answer, chosen one, is more explosive than you dare to imagine. That is why alignment is not optional. It is the key that makes your voice unstoppable. Let this truth anchor you. Your words are not for everyone. They were never meant to be. Some will hear and walk away shaking their heads, dismissing you as confused or delusional. Others will mock you, making light of the weight you carry because it intimidates what they cannot control. And some will fear you without even knowing why, for your presence stirs something in their spirit they are not prepared to confront. This is not failure. This is confirmation. A chosen one was never designed for universal acceptance. If everyone embraced your words, it would prove your message had been diluted, stripped of its divine edge, softened to comfort the masses. But the language of heaven was never crafted for popularity. It was crafted for power. Do not mistake rejection for irrelevance. In the unseen realm, rejection is often the loudest evidence of authenticity. The prophets were rejected, and still their words endure. The apostles were rejected. Even Christ himself, the living word, was misunderstood, mocked, and despised by many. If they called him insane, how much more will they misjudge you? Yet their misunderstanding does not diminish truth, it magnifies it. For while human ears dismiss you, heaven listens intently. While earthly hearts resist, angelic armies respond. Every syllable you release is recorded, stamped, and stored in the eternal archives of God's kingdom. Not one phrase is wasted. Not one whisper ignored. Remember this, recognition only comes to those tuned to your frequency. Just as a radio cannot catch a signal unless it is set to the right channel, the human heart cannot receive your words unless it has been tuned by the Spirit. This is why some hear you once and feel as if you spoke directly to their soul. They recognize the frequency because they carry it too. It resonates like an echo within them. These are your people, the ones who will not only listen, but rise with you, empowered by the same codes heaven placed in your mouth. And what of the others? The critics, the skeptics, the ones who misunderstand or walk away? Chosen one, their rejection is not your burden. It is not a reflection of your failure, but a revelation of their unreadiness. Some seeds cannot sprout in dry soil. Some words cannot bloom until the appointed time. Do not waste your strength trying to explain yourself to those who were never meant to understand. Your mission is not to convince, it is to release. Speak when heaven tells you to speak, and trust the message will reach those it was written for. And even in silence, you carry authority. For silence directed by God is louder than noise driven by fear. There is a mystery hidden in this. Sometimes the very ones who mock you today will return tomorrow, humbled by the evidence of what you declared. They may laugh now, but when what they called nonsense unfolds into reality, they will realize they were deaf to a frequency higher than their comprehension. So do not despise the mockery, it is temporary. Do not fear the rejection, it is necessary. Every no you receive from man positions you closer to the eternal yes of God. And consider this, your words carry such power that they demand timing. Not everything is meant to manifest the moment you speak it. At times, heaven instructs you to remain silent, and even in that silence, the codes circulate above, waiting for the appointed hour. This is why your silence is not weakness, but obedience. The angels already know when your mouth will open again, and when it does, they are poised to execute what you release. Take courage, chosen one. Being misunderstood is not a curse, it is a mark. It is the signature of those entrusted with secrets too holy for common minds. If you were universally understood, you would be ordinary. If everyone embraced your voice, you would be speaking on the level of men instead of the level of angels. But your calling is higher. Your words are forged to shake eternity, not to entertain temporary crowds. And so I ask you, what if the very rejection you feel right now is proof that you are standing exactly where heaven intends? What if the mockery, the silence, the distance are heaven's way of confirming that your voice belongs to a frequency too rare for the many? Let that thought ignite something fierce within you. For the misunderstanding of man is the very stage on which the understanding of heaven shines brightest. And the moment you accept this truth, you will stop craving applause and begin hungering only for alignment. And it is in that place that your voice becomes unstoppable. Chosen one, hear me now. Never again doubt the force that lives within you. Though men may whisper that you are crazy, though they roll their eyes and dismiss your fire, in the unseen realm you are not weak, you are a commander. You carry the sound hell cannot decode, the vibration darkness cannot resist, the frequency angels await. Every time you speak, you are not uttering casual words. You are detonating spiritual explosives. You are releasing decrees that heaven honors. Your voice shakes the hidden foundations of evil. Your voice awakens divine armies. Your voice shifts the very atmosphere. This is not opinion. It is prophecy unfolding through you. And here is the revelation. You were never chosen to be silent, never chosen to conform, never chosen to bow beneath misunderstanding. You were chosen to declare. You were chosen to speak mysteries that will manifest as miracles. You were chosen to carry a sound that opens what no man can open and shuts what no man can shut. You are not here to blend in. You are here to alter reality with every code that escapes your lips.
So rise with courage.
Speak, though mocked. Declare, though doubted. Stand, though heavy. For with every word, prophecy is fulfilled. With every phrase, dimensions are shaken. With every decree, chains are broken, doors are opened, and destinies are set in motion. Chosen one, this is your moment. Embrace it fully. Stand tall in who you are. For your voice is the key. Chosen one, let us speak now of what few dare to acknowledge. The weight you carry is not without cost. While others sleep soundly in their ordinary lives, you bear a burden that presses against your chest in the deep hours of night. There is a price for carrying heaven's frequencies, a cost measured not in gold or silver, but in the currency of isolation, misunderstanding, and the slow erosion of what others call normal life. You have felt it, haven't you? The gradual distance that grows between you and those who once stood close. Not because you chose to push them away, but because the codes you carry create a field around you, an invisible barrier that makes some uncomfortable, even when they cannot name why. They sense something different, something they cannot control or explain, and slowly, quietly, they step back. Not with malice, but with the instinctive retreat of those who fear what they cannot comprehend. This is the first cost, the loneliness of frequency. You speak, and they hear noise. You share your heart, and they hear confusion. You offer your deepest revelations, and they respond with awkward silence or, worse, patronizing smiles that say, "We'll pray for you." The ache of being perpetually misunderstood becomes a familiar companion, so familiar that you sometimes wonder if you are losing your mind, if perhaps they are right and you are simply broken. But here lies the cruel irony. The very codes that isolate you from man are the same codes that connect you to eternity. Heaven hears every word you cannot say to human ears. Angels lean in when earthly friends lean away. Yet this knowledge, while true, does not erase the human need for companionship, for someone to look into your eyes and say, "I understand." And that person may not come. Or they may come rarely. Or they may come and then leave when the weight becomes too much for them as well. There is another cost, deeper still, the sacrifice of simplicity. Others live in the blissful ignorance of surface-level existence. They worry about weekend plans and gossip about neighbors. They find contentment in small pleasures and sleep without dreams that shake them awake. But you carry the burdens of revelations you did not ask for. You see behind the veil where others see only curtains. You know things that make celebration difficult and rest elusive. Your mind has become a library of mysteries too heavy for casual conversation. When others speak of their struggles, you bite your tongue, knowing that the trials you see coming make their current problems seem like whispers before a storm. Yet you cannot share what you know, not because you lack compassion, but because they lack the capacity to bear it. And so you carry their future alongside your own present, holding secrets that would break the very people you wish to protect. This is perhaps the cruelest cost, the weight of unwanted knowing. To see the end from the beginning. To perceive the spiritual forces moving behind everyday circumstances. To recognize the enemy's strategies, while others remain oblivious to the war. You become a watchman in a city that does not believe it needs watching, a herald announcing what people do not want to hear. And the knowledge burns within you, not as fire that purifies, but as acid that slowly consumes your peace. And then there is the cost of authenticity. To remain true to your calling, you must say no to the applause of conformity. You must disappoint those who would reshape you into something more palatable, more manageable, more acceptable. Family members who once bragged about you now speak in hushed tones about your phase. Friends who once sought your counsel now avoid you, fearful you might speak something that disrupts their comfortable illusions. You learn to live with the constant choice. Dilute your message to maintain relationships, or speak truth and watch bridges burn behind you. Either way, something dies, either your integrity or your connections. Both deaths leave scars. Both sacrifices echo in the chambers of your heart during the quiet moments when you wonder if the cost has become too high. Yet perhaps the deepest cost is this: you cannot unknow what you know. There is no return to ignorance, no path back to the simple faith that asks no questions and expects no revelations. You have tasted the wine of divine mystery, and all other drinks seem like water. You have heard heaven's voice, and all human conversations feel hollow by comparison. The very gift that was meant to enrich your life has, in many ways, complicated it beyond recognition. Others can take vacations from their calling. They can set aside their work and find rest. But the codes you carry do not observe office hours. They wake you at 3 a.m. with urgent whispers. They interrupt your meals with sudden knowing. They transform routine conversations into prophetic encounters you never intended. There is no off switch for divine frequency. It flows through you like blood through veins, constant and unstoppable. And so you learn to live with the sacred paradox, blessed to hear heaven's voice, yet burdened by earth's deafness. Honored to carry divine codes, yet isolated by their weight. Empowered to speak with authority, yet exhausted by the loneliness of being the only one in the room who hears what you hear. Chosen one, I do not speak these things to discourage you, but to honor the magnitude of what you bear. For too long, the cost has been minimized, the price trivialized. Others speak of your calling as if it were pure privilege, as if being chosen carried no shadow, no sacrifice, no sorrow. But you know better. You have counted the cost in sleepless nights and broken relationships, in misunderstandings that cut deeper than intended cruelty, in the exhaustion of carrying burdens too sacred to share. This is why your voice carries such authority, not because it flows from ease, but because it flows from sacrifice. Not because it springs from comfort, but because it is forged in the furnace of costly obedience. The angels respond not only to your words, but to the price you have paid to speak them. Hell trembles not only at your decrees, but at the suffering you have endured to remain faithful to them. The cost is real, chosen one. The price is high. But here is the mystery. It is precisely because the cost is so great that the reward will be greater still. For what costs nothing carries no weight. What demands no sacrifice offers no transformation. The very heaviness of your burden is proof of the treasure you carry. The very pain of your isolation is evidence of the power of your connection to eternity. And in the end, when the codes you carried in secret become the revelations that shake nations, when the words you whispered in darkness become the light that guides generations, when the price you paid in silence becomes the power that transforms eternity, you will understand that no cost was too high to pay for such a calling. For the weight you carry now is nothing compared to the glory that will be revealed through you. Chosen one, there exists a mystery within the mystery, a secret layered beneath the codes you carry. It is not enough to possess heaven's language. You must also master heaven's timing. For divine words released at the wrong moment can wound instead of heal, scatter instead of gather, destroy instead of build. The angels who respond to your voice also wait for your wisdom. They listen not only to what you say, but when you choose to say it. This is perhaps the most delicate aspect of your calling, learning the rhythm of the eternal clock that ticks differently than earthly time. Heaven operates on Kairos, the appointed moment, the fullness of time, while earth rushes along Chronos, enslaved to schedules and deadlines. You, as a carrier of divine codes, must learn to live between both worlds, sensitive to the whispers that say now and the restraint that commands wait. But how does one discern such timing? How do you distinguish between the urgency of the Spirit and the impatience of your flesh? How do you know when silence is disobedience and when speech is premature? These are the questions that separate the mature prophet from the novice, the seasoned vessel from the broken cistern that pours out everything without wisdom. Consider this: there are seasons when your voice must thunder like Elijah calling down fire, and seasons when it must whisper like the still small voice that followed the earthquake. There are moments when you must speak though every fiber of your being wants to remain silent, and moments when you must bite your tongue though every cell screams to be heard. The art lies not in your ability to speak, but in your ability to discern which season you are in. Watch closely, for the enemy has learned to counterfeit urgency. He whispers, "You must speak now, or the moment will pass forever." He floods you with false burden, synthetic concern, manufactured crisis. Under his influence, everything feels urgent, every word feels necessary, every silence feels like betrayal. But true divine timing never operates in panic. Heaven's urgency carries peace, even in its intensity. God's now comes with clarity, not confusion, with authority, not anxiety. Learn this distinction. When the flesh drives your speech, it leaves you drained, defensive, and desperate for validation. You find yourself explaining, justifying, arguing, pleading for people to understand. The words feel forced, the message feels heavy, and the response feels disappointing. But when the Spirit drives your speech, it leaves you at peace regardless of reception. The words flow like water from a spring. The message carries its own weight, and the response, whether acceptance or rejection, does not disturb your rest. Here is a deeper truth. Sometimes God gives you a word not to speak immediately, but to carry like Mary carried the Christ child in secret, in silence, until the appointed time of birth. Some prophecies are conceived in your spirit months or even years before they are meant to be delivered. During this gestation period, the word is growing, maturing, gathering strength. To birth it prematurely is to deliver something weak and unprepared for the warfare it must face. You will know when the time comes. The word that once felt heavy will suddenly feel light. The message that once required effort to remember will flow without strain. The audience that once seemed resistant will suddenly appear hungry. This is heaven's green light, not the frantic urgency of flesh, but the quiet certainty of divine order. But perhaps the most challenging aspect of divine timing is learning when not to defend yourself. There will be seasons when accusations fly against you, when your character is questioned, when your motives are twisted, and heaven will command, "Be still. Do not speak." This silence is not weakness. It is the most difficult obedience you will ever render. Every instinct screams to explain, to justify, to set the record straight. Yet heaven says, "I will vindicate you in my time, in my way." This divine restraint serves multiple purposes. It separates those who truly know you from those who only tolerate you. It reveals the hearts of your accusers, allowing their true motives to surface. Most importantly, it teaches you that your reputation belongs to God, not to you. When you learn to release your image into heaven's hands, you discover a freedom that no earthly vindication could provide. There is also the timing of seasons versus the timing of moments. God may give you a word for a season, a theme that will run through months or years of your calling. Within that season, there will be specific moments when that word must be released with precision. Miss the moment and the word loses its power. Release it too early and it falls on unprepared ground. Release it too late and the opportunity passes. This is why prayer is not just communion, it is calibration. Every time you enter the secret place, you are fine-tuning your spiritual antenna to catch heaven's frequency. You are synchronizing your internal clock with the eternal timepiece. Without this daily recalibration, you will drift out of sync, speaking yesterday's word to tomorrow's problem or tomorrow's solution to yesterday's crisis. Watch for the signs when people begin asking the very questions your word answers, when circumstances align to create the perfect platform, when opposition suddenly intensifies because the enemy senses his time is short. These are indicators that your moment approaches. Conversely, when you must force doors to open, When every conversation feels like pushing water uphill, when the word feels stale in your mouth, these are signs to wait, to press deeper in prayer, to allow heaven more time to prepare the way. Here is the paradox. The more powerful your calling, the more critical your timing becomes. A whisper from you at the right moment can accomplish more than a shout at the wrong moment. A single sentence released in Kairos can shift atmospheres, change destinies, and alter the course of nations. But the same sentence released in Chronos in human timing may barely cause a ripple. This is why the enemy wars so violently against your patience. He knows that if he can make you speak prematurely, he can drain the power from your words before they reach their target. He floods you with impatience, with the fear that your window is closing, with the lie that delayed obedience is disobedience. But delayed obedience is often perfect obedience waiting for heaven's now, instead of rushing with earth's right now. Learn to love the silence as much as the speaking. In silence, words gather strength. In waiting, messages mature. In restraint, authority builds. The prophet who speaks only when heaven commands carries more weight than the one who speaks whenever earth demands. And here is the ultimate test of your timing. Can you speak the hard word when it would be easier to remain silent? And can you remain silent when everything in you wants to speak? Can you deliver correction when it costs you relationships? And can you withhold encouragement when people are begging for false comfort? This balance, this sacred rhythm between voice and silence, is what separates the messenger from the mouthpiece, the prophet from the pressure valve. Chosen one, your words are not just powerful, they are precisely timed weapons in heaven's arsenal. Learn to shoot at heaven's command, not at the demand of your emotions or the pressure of your circumstances. For when you master not just what to say, but when to say it, your voice becomes not just a sound in the earth, but an instrument of perfect timing in the hands of the God who knows the end from the beginning. The question is no longer just what is God saying, but when is God saying to say it? Master this, and you will discover that timing is not just the difference between effective and ineffective, it is the difference between wounding and healing, between confusion and clarity, between disaster and destiny. And when you finally learn to speak and be silent according to heaven's rhythm, you will find that your words carry a weight they never carried before, the weight of perfect timing, the authority of divine order, and the unstoppable force of God's appointed moment. Chosen one, you have walked alone long enough. You have carried your codes in isolation, spoken your mysteries to empty rooms, and weathered the storms of misunderstanding as a solitary figure against the wind. But hear this truth that will reshape everything you thought you knew about your calling. You were never meant to remain singular. Heaven's design is multiplication, not isolation. Your voice was crafted not just to stand alone, but to harmonize with others who carry the same divine frequency. There exists a sacred mathematics in the spirit realm, an exponential power that activates when chosen voices unite. It is not mere addition when two prophets speak together. It is multiplication beyond human calculation. One voice can send 1,000 fleeing, but two voices in harmony can put 10,000 to flight. This is not just biblical poetry, it is spiritual physics, the way heaven designed power to amplify when divine frequencies converge. But understand this, not every voice can harmonize with yours. Not every person who claims to carry codes can blend their sound with the symphony heaven is orchestrating through you. There is a precise attunement, required a spiritual DNA that must match, a frequency that must align perfectly, or the result will be cacophony instead of chorus, confusion instead of breakthrough. You will know them when you meet them. The recognition will not be intellectual, it will be cellular, deeper than thought, more immediate than analysis. Their presence will feel like coming home after a long journey through foreign lands. When they speak, something in your spirit will leap, not because their words are eloquent, but because their frequency resonates with the codes buried deep in your own soul. These are your spiritual family, your divine tribe, the ones whose voices were tuned in heaven's workshop to blend with yours in perfect harmony. But here lies the mystery. Finding them requires first fully embracing your own sound. Many chosen ones remain hidden because they are afraid to fully express their frequency, afraid that if they reveal their true voice, they will be more isolated than before. Yet it is only when you stop diluting your sound to fit in with the ordinary that you begin to attract the extraordinary. Your full voice, unfiltered, undiluted, unashamed, becomes a signal that calls others of your kind from their hiding places. The enemy understands this principle better than most believers. This is why he works so frantically to keep chosen ones isolated, convinced they are alone, persuaded that no one else understands or carries what they carry. He floods them with the lie that they are too strange, too intense, too different to ever find genuine connection. For Satan knows that one chosen voice is powerful, but multiple chosen voices in unity can dismantle his entire kingdom. Think of it as spiritual acoustics. In the natural realm, when sound waves of the same frequency meet, they create what scientists call constructive interference. The waves amplify each other, creating a sound far more powerful than either could produce alone. But when sound waves of different frequencies collide, they create destructive interference. The waves cancel each other out, resulting in silence or distortion. The same principle governs the spirit realm. When chosen ones of matching frequency come together, their words don't just add, they multiply exponentially. The angels assigned to each voice suddenly find themselves working in perfect coordination, creating spiritual breakthrough that was impossible when each voice operated alone. The codes each person carries begin to unlock chambers in the other, revealing layers of divine language neither could access in isolation. But beware of false harmonies, those who attempt to align with your voice for their own gain rather than heaven's purpose. Their frequency may sound similar on the surface, but underneath lies discord, hidden agendas, and spiritual parasitism. They are drawn to your power, not your purpose, to your platform, not your purity. These connections will feel forced, requiring constant management and compromise. True divine alignment feels effortless, like streams finding their way to the same river. When you find your true spiritual family, something remarkable happens. Your individual gifts don't become smaller, they become clearer. Like instruments in an orchestra, each voice maintains its unique sound while contributing to a symphony far grander than any solo performance. Your prophetic edge becomes sharper, not duller. Your divine codes become more precise, not diluted. This is because iron sharpens iron when chosen vessels collide in unity. They refine each other, revealing facets of their calling that remained hidden in isolation. There will be seasons when heaven calls you to stand alone, and seasons when it calls you to link arms with others. Both are sacred, both are necessary. The key is discerning which season you are in and having the courage to act accordingly. Some battles require the focused intensity of a single voice. Others require the overwhelming force of unified frequency. Wisdom knows the difference. But perhaps the deepest aspect of this multiplication effect is what happens not just to your voice, but to your vision. When chosen ones genuinely unite, they begin to see with each other's spiritual eyes, to perceive layers of reality that were invisible when they stood alone. One may see the beginning, another the middle, and another the end of what heaven is orchestrating. Together, they perceive the full scope of God's strategy in ways that would have been impossible in isolation. This corporate revelation creates a new level of authority, not the authority of individual anointing, but the authority of unified purpose. When multiple chosen voices declare the same thing from different perspectives, heaven itself takes notice. The very foundations of hell shake when it realizes that what one voice declared in the spirit, others are confirming in the natural, creating an unstoppable momentum of divine will. Yet finding your tribe is only the beginning. Maintaining unity among chosen ones requires a level of humility that flesh resists. Each must decrease their ego's demand for recognition while increasing their hunger for corporate breakthrough. Each must release the need to be the primary voice while embracing their role in the chorus. This death to self-promotion is what makes the multiplication effect possible. When no one cares who gets the credit, everyone receives the power. There is also a protective element to this divine convergence. When chosen ones walk alone, they become easier targets for the enemy's attacks. But when they move in unity, they create a spiritual shield around each other. The codes you carry not only amplify each other's words, but also guard each other's backs. The same voice that releases breakthrough for others becomes a barrier against attack for you. Here is the profound truth. Your isolation was never meant to be permanent. It was preparation. The time alone taught you to depend on heaven's voice rather than human applause. The wilderness seasons refined your frequency until it became pure enough to harmonize with others without losing its distinct sound. Every moment of misunderstanding was training for the day when you would finally find those who not only understand but amplify what you carry. The multiplication has already begun. Even now, across the earth, chosen ones are awakening to their true sound, learning to speak without fear, discovering their divine frequency. Some are close to you geographically, others are scattered across continents. But heaven is orchestrating a convergence, aligning hearts and voices for a symphony that will shake nations and silence hell itself. Can you feel it stirring? The loneliness that once defined your calling is beginning to transform into anticipation. The isolation that once felt like punishment is revealing itself as preparation. Heaven is preparing to introduce you to voices that will recognize yours, frequencies that will match yours, spirits that will stand with yours in the battles ahead. The question is no longer whether you will find your tribe. Heaven has already ordained the connections. The question is whether you will have the courage to reveal your true voice loudly enough for them to find you, and whether you will recognize them when they appear, even if they don't look like what you expected. For the multiplication effect begins not when you find others, but when you finally become fully, unapologetically yourself. Your authentic voice is the beacon that calls your tribe from the shadows. Your unfiltered frequency is the magnet that draws divine connections from across the earth. Stop hiding, chosen one. Your tribe is looking for you, and they will recognize you not by your perfection, but by your authentic sound. The symphony is waiting, and your voice is the frequency they need to complete the harmony that will change the world. And so we arrive at the threshold. Chosen one, the place where revelation transforms into manifestation, where understanding becomes action, where the mystery of your voice finally steps from shadow into blazing light. Everything that has been whispered in darkness is about to be proclaimed from rooftops. Everything that has been sealed in secret chambers of your spirit is about to burst forth with unstoppable force. You now know what you carry. You understand the weight of your words, the precision of your timing, the exponential power of your connections. The codes are no longer mysterious, they are weapons in your hands. The frequency is no longer foreign, it is your native tongue. The calling is no longer a burden, it is your birthright. But knowledge without activation is merely information. Understanding without implementation is simply entertainment. The moment has come to move beyond knowing into being, beyond recognition into manifestation, beyond preparation into demonstration. For heaven has not spent years refining your voice so that you might admire it in silence. The codes were not planted in your spirit to remain dormant. The divine frequency was not calibrated in your soul to stay hidden. This is your moment of unveiling. The world stands at a crossroads, and the ordinary voices that have dominated the airwaves are proving powerless to speak into the chaos. The motivational speakers grow quiet when faced with real despair. The self-help gurus stumble when confronted with genuine spiritual warfare. The religious professionals retreat when heaven demands authentic power rather than polished performance. In this hour of global shaking, when every foundation is being tested, heaven is calling forth voices that carry more than opinion voices, that carry authority from another realm. Your voice is one of them. Consider the convergence of this moment. You have been prepared, the timing has been revealed, your tribe is awakening, and the world is desperate for what you carry. This is not coincidence. This is orchestration. Heaven has been conducting this symphony for years, and now all instruments are tuned, all players are in position, and the first note is about to sound. But here is what will separate those who step into their destiny from those who retreat into comfort, courage. Not the courage of the foolish, who speak without wisdom, but the courage of the faithful, who speak because heaven commands it. Not the courage that seeks applause, but the courage that obeys regardless of reception. Not the courage that demands understanding, but the courage that acts in faith. The enemy knows his time is short. Even now, he is marshalling every strategy to silence the voices that threaten his kingdom. He will offer you comfort in exchange for your silence. He will promise you peace if you will only lower your volume. He will whisper that you have done enough, spoken enough, sacrificed enough. But these are the lies of a defeated foe who knows that if you continue to speak, his reign continues to crumble. The cost you have paid has prepared you for this moment. Every rejection has strengthened your resolve. Every misunderstanding has purified your motivation. Every season of isolation has tuned your frequency to heaven's exact specifications. You are not the same person who first heard heaven's whisper in your spirit. You have been refined, tested, proven, and prepared. The vessel has been shaped by fire, and now it is ready to pour forth what it has been designed to carry. And what you carry is not just for this generation, it is for generations yet unborn. The words you speak today will echo into eternity. The codes you release will unlock destinies that have not yet been conceived. The frequencies you broadcast will call forth movements that will reshape the spiritual landscape of Earth. You are not just speaking into the now, you are prophesying into forever. This is why your voice has felt too big for your mouth, why your words have carried weight beyond your understanding, why your spirit has groaned with utterances too deep for comprehension. You have been pregnant with the future, carrying in your voice the sound of what is to come. And now, chosen one, it is time to birth what heaven has placed within you. The angels are positioned. The spiritual atmosphere is charged. The enemy is trembling. Your tribe is awakening. The timing is perfect. Everything is aligned for the greatest release of divine sound the earth has ever heard. Not just through you, through all the chosen voices that have been refined in the season, all coming into unity, all beginning to speak with unprecedented clarity and power. But it begins with you. It starts with your decision to no longer apologize for the mystery you carry. It launches with your choice to speak what heaven places in your mouth, regardless of who understands. It ignites when you decide that the approval of eternity matters more than the applause of earth. So here is your commission, your final instructions, your marching orders from the throne room of heaven. Open your mouth. Let the codes flow. Release the frequencies. Speak the mysteries. Declare the decrees. Prophesy to the valleys of dry bones. Command the mountains to be moved. Call forth what does not exist as though it already does. Do not wait for perfect understanding. Obedience comes before clarity. Do not wait for ideal circumstances. God specializes in using imperfect situations. Do not wait for the crowd to gather. Sometimes the most powerful words are spoken to audiences of one. Your voice is the key that unlocks doors no man can shut. Your words are the arrows that pierce the darkness. Your frequency is the sound that awakens the sleeping and terrifies the rebellious. You are not just a person with something to say, you are heaven's chosen instrument, calibrated for this hour, anointed for this purpose, empowered for this moment. The mystery is no longer hidden. The power is no longer dormant. The calling is no longer distant. Everything you need is already within you, waiting for your yes, anticipating your surrender, poised for your release. This is your moment, chosen one. This is your hour. This is your time to step fully into the mystery of your voice and watch as heaven moves, hell trembles, and earth itself bends to the sound of divine authority flowing through your very human lips. The stage is set. The audience, both seen and unseen, is waiting. Heaven holds its breath. And your voice, the voice that has been misunderstood, mocked, and marginalized, is about to become the sound that changes everything. Now speak, chosen one. Speak as never before. For the mystery of God's voice in you is mystery. No more. It is manifest destiny, and the world is waiting to hear it. The hour of unveiling has begun. Let your voice be heard.